We saw some pictures of you last night out with those huge queues. What are you hearing about things this morning? How's it all going?
Frustration, Peter. The people of Fairfield have come out and done the right thing, gone out to get tested. They've listened to the government's requirements, but the government hasn't provided for the people of Fairfield. Last night we saw one major site shut by 7:30, people waiting for hours and then being turned away by police to other sites. And those sites were just in absolute gridlock. It's carmageddon on the streets of Fairfield.
When you say the government isn't helping out, well, it is with a huge financial package yesterday. Are you referring to that, or are you referring to resources?
I'm referring to the resources on the ground with the testing sites, Peter. You can't expect hardworking people to work throughout the day, come home at 5 or 6 o'clock, then to wait 5 or 6 hours to get COVID tested, to then go back and do it again at 6 a.m. This is just not working. It hasn't worked. What I'm calling on the government to do today, Peter, immediately is ensure that there are more 24-hour testing sites for COVID, more healthcare professionals to facilitate that, and more resources for COVID testing, because what happened last night and this morning is not working. People are frustrated. What we don't want is to discourage people. Potentially what could happen is someone might have COVID, they could be in their car, and they potentially could make that fatal decision to turn around, go to work, and then infect others. That's not what the community needs right now. What the community needs is the government to support it with the COVID testing facilities in the Fairfield local government area.
Okay, so what do you make of the practicalities of workers having to get tested every 3 days? I mean, is that something that you support?
Well, look, whatever measures the government puts in place, they ultimately put in place for the good of all people. However, it needs to be matched with resources on the ground, and people are frustrated about that. People last night went out and did the right thing to get tested, but the facilities weren't adequate enough, Peter. People will do it. If the government says to people there are measures in place, they will go out and do it. Over the last 3 weeks, the residents of Fairfield have had the finger pointed at them. They've been shamed. They've been blamed. Unfairly, I might add. Now, they've done the right thing over the last 24 hours, and now they're still waiting on the streets to get COVID tested before they get to work. It just has not worked. It has not been well thought out. And Gladys Berejiklian today needs to sit down and come up with an immediate contingency plan to ensure that these people are well supported.
But is there confusion out there because we're all told you got to go get a test and then you got to isolate, and that can take days depending on how many people are actually getting tested. So, I mean, it stands to reason that you could go and get a test, wait for the results. It takes longer than you expected, and then you got to go get another test again without having worked in between.
Well, the hardworking people of Fairfield are struggling enough to put food on the table and to pay their bills. The messaging hasn't been clear for the last few weeks. We've been asking the government for clear messaging, not just in the Fairfield local government area, but right across New South Wales, because there is mixed messaging coming out. People are told that they need to stay in the confines of the LGA to get tested, not to go out. People are doing that. But as a result of the demand, it's just not happening quick enough. So the government today needs to put in the parameters in place to give people the all clear to possibly go out and get tested in other venues so that the burden is not so much in those local streets. Residents couldn't even get into their homes near Endeavour Reserve. They were most upset because of the fact that people were just funnelled into one area, one road in, one road out, with hours to get in or out.
What about the financial support package that was announced yesterday? Do you support that? What do you make of it?
Any measures to support our people are welcome. Obviously, it's happened now. It should have happened a long time ago. But the government needs to keep supporting these people because people can't go to work. What has happened is one instance where a worker has gone to work, and the actual workplace, a prominent workplace in southwest Sydney, over the border has said to this particular resident in Fairfield, you need to go home, you can't come to work because you're from the Fairfield local government area. That is unacceptable. And we need to avoid this type of discrimination in the workplace because that's illegal. People have a right to go to work. Of course, they're going to listen to the measures put in place by the government. But the government's got to be forthcoming in having those resources there so people can do the right thing.
What about going to those homes within your electorate where some people, English may well not be the primary language? How's it going getting messaging to them?
Well, the community leaders, I've got to commend a lot of the community leaders across the Fairfield LGA that have done their bit. But once again, they're not the government. The government has been slow in getting the messages out there. Just last night, I was provided with a social media tile from the government in English. I mean, there are over 100 nationalities in the Fairfield local government area. The government should have been last night putting out the messages on multicultural radio, in multicultural print, on the social media feeds for all the multicultural communities so that the clear message can get out to all people.
Okay. Guy Zangari, thanks for your time this morning. The member for Fairfield joining us live here in First Edition. We'll talk to you soon, Guy. Thank you.